Hi everyone, welcome to A Godly Home. In today's video, I am going to be making a 1920s spice cake, and I'm very excited to try this recipe. I saw the Vintage Dietitian make this on her channel, and if you have not checked out her channel, check that out. She is doing an amazing job. She's cooking her way through a 1920s menu plan cookbook that she found. And this recipe was a little bit tricky. When I watched her make it, it really was tricky. And I love to try complicated old-fashioned recipes and see if I can be successful with them. So that is what I will be doing. I will be omitting the nuts and the raisins out of the recipe though, because I want my grandmother to be able to have some of this cake. And I did ask the Vintage Dietitian if it was okay with her if I made this video, because I didn't want to use her recipe without her permission, and she was great about it, and she's looking forward to the video and seeing if I could do anything with this particular recipe. And let's get started. Okay, so I am going to start by putting 2 cups of brown sugar right into my mixing bowl. Okay, and to that, I'm going to add 1 stick of melted butter. And I'm going to give that a little stir. Okay, now to that we are going to add 2 egg yolks, and we're going to save the whites. Okay, I got just a tiny little piece of shell in there and just a little spoon. Get that right out. And we'll give that another little stir. All right. Okay. I'm going to just put it all into one bowl together to start with. 1, 2, 3/4. And then to that flour, they want a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of cloves, a teaspoon of allspice, a teaspoon of nutmeg, and a teaspoon of baking soda. We'll start with the baking soda. You Get a teaspoon of that in there. Okay, a teaspoon of cinnamon. A teaspoon of ground cloves. Okay, a teaspoon of allspice. And a teaspoon of nutmeg. All right, I'm just going to set this back for a minute because we need to sift this 3 times. Okay, there's one. Now we'll do it back into this bowl. If you've never sifted your flour, it does make such puffy, soft baked goods. I can only imagine sifting it for 3 times how delicious this is going to be. And if you've never had spice cake, it's a lot like a carrot cake, only you don't have to go through the ordeal of grating the carrots. Okay, so that is 2 times. Now right back into this bowl for the 3rd time. Okay, now we're going to set that aside for just a minute. And we are going to get out 1 cup of sour milk. Okay, I do not have any sour milk, but they really did cook with sour milk. It was a good way to use it up. Sour milk's not spoiled. It's just starting to go sour. Okay, I'm just going to give a little squeeze of lemon juice just to give that sour touch to it. Now, what they want us to do is they want us to alternate between these dry ingredients and the milk. All right, I'm going to just put a little bit of that milk in there, stir it in. Then we'll add a cup of our dry ingredients. Stir them in. They wouldn't have been using electric mixers, so this is why they did this, so that they could get it incorporated very well. They didn't have to worry about not getting it stirred up good by doing it that way. And you guys know, if you've been watching the channel for a while, I do a lot of these old-fashioned recipes just with a wooden spoon. I think they turn out better. The only time I don't is like if I'm in a super big hurry. Give it a little more milk. Oh, it smells good already. Okay, now let's give it another scoop of the flour mixture. Okay, some more milk. Some more dry. The rest of our milk. Okay, and all the rest of our dry. Oh, that is such a nice, light, soft batter. Okay, that's it for our batter. It says to bake it in 4 layers. It doesn't give us a temperature, so we will do 350 degrees. That would have been a moderate oven for the time period if they were cooking on a wood stove. And we are going to go ahead and get our cake pans greased and ready to put the cake in. These are a 9-inch pan. I know somebody's going to ask me that question. Ooh, too much oil. I do not want that much oil. Luckily, we have paper towels. Whether they did or not, we do, and I'm going to use them because I accidentally put a little bit too much oil in there, and I don't want the cake to be crunchy. So we'll just wipe a little of it out. Okay, they also would have floured the pan a little bit. Just to make sure that cake's going to come out of there and not stick on the bottom. Now we're going to put half of our batter in each one of these. I know it said 4 layers, but I'm going to bake it in 2. That is what I've always seen the old timers do. Is if it's a 2-layer cake, they bake it in 1 pan, and if it's a 4-layer cake, they bake it in 2 pans. I think it was just kind of a known thing that that's how they would handle it. Or at least the women in my area handled them like that. I wish you guys could smell this before it's even baked. It just smells fantastic. Sloopy's coming out. She's going to give that bowl a lick. Okay. And, oops. Into the oven they go. I'm just going to check them when I smell them. All right, I just pulled these out of the oven. Wow, they smell good. I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes, and then we'll come back and try to get them out of the pan. Okay, I'm going to put out a piece of wax paper, and we'll see if we have any luck. getting these out of the pan. Okay, I'm going to run my knife around the edge, and then we might need to give it another minute or so to cool. Okay, they're not ready to come out yet. I'll be back. Okay, it's been 3 more minutes. And it come right out. If your cakes stick like that, do not force them before they're ready, because then you'll end up missing part of your cake. It's better just to try back in another 3 minutes. This one still doesn't want to come. Okay, success. All right, I'm going to go have my supper and let those sit there and cool, and then we will be back for the rest of the process. Okay, now we are going to get started on the filling for this cake. Because I'm not using the walnuts or the raisins in this, I'm going to double the filling so I have enough to go between all 4 layers. So 2 egg whites in there. I apologize, I do not have one of those hand crank mixer things. The new ones that you buy, they don't really work all that well. They kind of bind, and I don't have a vintage one. I threw out my new one. So we will just go ahead and cheat a little bit and use this mixer. I'm going to beat those egg whites until they are stiff. Okay, then 1 cup of the powdered sugar. This is half cups. That's why I'm adding 2. All right, and 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to put just a little bit more powdered sugar in there because where I don't have the fruit, it's not quite as stiff as we would want it to be able to spread it in between the layers. Okay, we're going to split these layers right in half. Okay, and there we go. We put the first one down. Adding our filling here. Then our next layer. Okay, there's 3 layers. We'll go ahead, add our filling. Okay, there's our 4th layer. Now let's go make our frosting. For the actual frosting, I have beat 1 egg white stiff. I have a cup of sugar in here, regular white sugar, and 2 tablespoons of water. I'm going to put this on medium heat, and we are going to cook this until it threads. I could not get this to thread. I thought maybe it was reacting to something with the Teflon pan, because I didn't mean to grab the Teflon pan. I just was getting a little tired and I wasn't thinking. It just turned right back into sugar and would not thread. So when I went to get set up to try this again, it hit me that the sugar in my canister wasn't regular white sugar. It was this pure cane sugar, which is coarser and less processed. And I wondered if that is what my problem was. And it turned out it was. This sugar would not dissolve enough to come to a thread. So this frosting turned out a little bit gritty for that reason. Now, when my grandmother and mother tasted the cake, they loved the cake, and so did I. My mother thought this frosting was actually supposed to be a white mountain frosting, and that it was just a very strange way of putting it together without enough instructions. And I'm not sure about that, because the way it turned out following the instructions was more like a white glaze. And I did not put my marshmallows in the double boiler to melt like the recipe called for, because when I saw the vintage dietitian do that, she had an elastic so big that you couldn't even possibly incorporate that in. So I was thinking, well, the heat from this will automatically melt the marshmallows. So I went that avenue. And add a half a package of marshmallows to that. I had to add some extra. And add our egg white in there. That's what I got for a frosting. Let's go ahead and put it on the cake. Okay, that's what it looks like. I don't know how hard that frosting's gonna get before it's time to eat that cake tomorrow, because that was a nightmare. We also decided when we ate the cake that this frosting wasn't too hard, by the way. It was fine, but we just didn't even care for the flavor of the frosting. We all agreed that just a nice cream cheese frosting would have been delicious on this, or that boiled brown sugar frosting that I made on that chocolate potato cake last year. I will link that recipe in the description box. But the actual cake itself was so good. This will be a recipe that I use often for the cake, and I will use the boiled brown sugar frosting the next time I make it. Now, when the cake was cut, it was 4 beautiful, distinctive layers. I have no idea why I could not get the camera to pick that up for you guys, but it really was beautiful when it was cut. Give this one a try. And please let me know if you've ever seen a frosting like this. If you have any information for the vintage dietitian or myself on what this frosting should have been and if this was indeed the right way that it should have been made. And let us know if you like spice cake. And I will have the vintage dietitian's video to this in my description box. You can get her photo of the recipe and stuff there. And thank you so much for watching. This was super fun to try. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.